I made him like turn it off.
How's my breathing distance before we start?
Well, we have started. I did hit record, and it's good.
Okay.
Keep that in though, because people should hear how he really sounds. I don't even like need a sound machine for the kids. You just like breathe next to them.
This motherfucker got sleep apnea when he awake.
Also, when Mike was telling that story about his cute little friend who has like a slight speech impediment, I was like, is he talking about you?
You're I said same in my mind. You're talking a little low today. Either that or I've gone deaf by blasting music in my ear. I feel
You
like
probably have gone deaf. That's a concern.
Can you just yell the rest of the day? Because you're low talking a bit for me.
Honestly, I'll murder you.
I know.
I will murder you.
I know you heard
pull
that
your,
as
your mic down just a tiny bit, just so it's not blocking your face. Like push it.
Yeah, your
just a
beautiful
tiny-
face.
I wanted to block my face, and I wanted to talk quietly. And two white men are telling me what to do, and it's
Yeah.
rude.
Remember that era when you couldn't tell women to shut up? That was a weird year.
That
2018. Yeah. Oh, woman is talking. It's like, okay.
Women
wrap it
didn't
up.
even get credit cards until like the 70s. Like, I think you guys are doing fine.
The women not getting into colleges, if you want to look up something really wild, it's like
It's the same thing.
it's like 84.
Oh, that's not true.
Princeton, the year that Princeton let women in
Yeah, but
was
Princeton
in
is
the
a-
80s, I think.
Princeton's a-
79.
Princeton's a terrible school
Yeah.
with like horrible roots.
It does, it for sure has
1969.
69. That's like the 80s. It's still very late.
1984.
You would
very
think
close.
like 51 or like 32 or something.
You think women went to Princeton in 1932?
Yeah, Princeton opened in like the 1700s.
Women didn't even go to, I think, Yale. It was 1968
Yeah,
was the
wild.
first class of women.
Wild.
I think Harvard, Harvard was messed up because they had Radcliffe. So like
Yeah.
1973, I think, is the year that they like integrated the colleges.
Yeah.
But like at least they had a women's school before that. These other schools were just like, no.
Right, but my point is that as a egalitarian feminist, I go, shh, keep it down. Keep it down, ladies.
You literally just told me to talk louder.
Oh,
you're
yeah, that's
you're
right.
deranged. You're like literally, you can't even keep track of your own thoughts.
Keep it down and also speak up. I can't hear you.
Here's something.
lady.
Here's something that I'm concerned about for you, and I think our listeners will relate. I tell you to get off your phone because you are on your phone all the time.
Yeah.
So now you think you're like sneaking it,
Yep.
and so you go like this.
Yep. Yeah. I put a time limit on Instagram. How about that?
But Noah, then
For
you tell
growth.
me, my neck hurts. Duh.
This feels very much like hurting my feelings, so let's move on.
Hurting your feelings. You told me your neck hurts, and then I look over, and you're like trying to like sneak a look at one more pair of Instagram boobs. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, this
lift
is
your neck up.
Yeah, this is.
You freaking weird giraffe.
It would have been funny if you said, "Lift your neck up, you dumb bitch," but you couldn't. You didn't commit to that.
Wait, can I tell you something also funny about size and shape?
Sure.
Okay.
This is your world.
Thank you. It's actually the world according to Alyssa Wolff.
Yeah, I
and
know.
I'm gonna just
Eventually-
I'm gonna just ping your head right off. I'm just like,
Yeah, this is just
"Pew."
gonna slide out, and then your head's gonna slide
Yeah.
in.
And then I'll replace the globe with like the moon.
Yeah.
No, I work with primarily people from Israel who grew up in Israel, and they were asking how tall you were, and I was like, he's 6'7", but like that means nothing to them because they don't know feet or inches.
Yep.
And so then they were like, yeah, like I can't, or like how big were the kids when they were born? And I'm like, they were big, like 8 pounds, 6 ounces. And they were like, but how many grams is that? And I was like, what? And then I was like, wait, it made me realize that I don't even know what measurement like they could relate to. And they were talking
Liters.
about how many liters is your baby?
Yeah.
So then they were like, oh, well, you go to the deli in America, and they were like, that's the only time that it's like very confusing because he's like, I'm ordering cheese, and they're like, do you want half a pound? And he's like, I want 300 grams. And they're like, so, and he's like, I guess a quarter of a pound. Like, he's like, it's literally been this steep learning curve because he's like, there's no correlation, whether you grew up with the metric system or whatever stupid system we have, there's absolutely no way, unless you like teach yourself the conversion rates, to like do it on the fly.
Well, I'm 207 centimeters. Number one, I knew that from playing pro in Europe, but
Okay, I'll tell
it's
them
also
that.
my favorite. It's my favorite sketch of the last 10 years, with a Nate Bargatze sketch about the units of measurement. It's so funny.
Well, yeah, but it also reminded me of the Kroll show thing when he's in Europe and he's like, he's like olive oil.
He's like 2 liters 30 of beer.
But like beer I could do, I guess, or like liters, I know what liters are.
Oh yeah. So hold on. We have a couple things we wanted to get to first. I'm trying to lock into what we said. We were talking about it a little bit.
Anyway, also, wait, before you finish, I was gonna say like it's very hard to have people like this at your stand-up show because if the punchline was like, I was 11 pounds, people are like, was that big or small?
Yeah, well, guess what? Perfect segue because I came off a fresh stink bomb, and
Stink bug.
I had 2 shows, huge bomb, biggest bomb I've had in a long time, and then I bounced back with a great kill. But I did get stopped by a fan today on the way to the studio.
That's true. I don't know if he was a fan.
He said, hey.
He recognized your big head.
He did. He said, hey, you were at the Jersey City Comedy Club. I go, yeah. And then he goes, I was there. Pretty good compliment. Pretty big compliment there, I think.
He did not say anything. He did say he enjoyed
the closer. OC. I've never seen the guy before.
Which you prompted him basically to say, but he didn't say anything about your set.
No, but
good or bad. So there's that.
I roasted his ass because I was doing a bit about whatever buzzing. And I was like, you're one of those dudes who like gets shape ups. You're like a white dude, but you're like, I'm a little black.
You get a shape up on your face?
I go to a Dominican barber, do all
But you went like this.
I don't know what my hands aren't matching what I'm talking about ever. But it was a rare, I love when I'm being recognized. So
he recognized you. I would say that was the full, that was the long and short of it.
Oh, but the bomb. So I was the first spot on the show.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to ask you about like what you do when you feel a bomb coming. Because first spot on the show, and I was doing a weirdly longer than everybody else set. First, made no sense. I was doing 14 minutes. It was like 14, 9, 9, 9, 20 or something. Bizarre. So first show,
excuse me,
lukewarm. I go, oh boy. So
but you're usually good about this because usually, like I was gonna say, like back in the day when I started and I felt like people really did not like me, I was like a little bit self-conscious about like going off the rails and just being like, well, if they already don't like you, there's no reason not to just like do all the things.
Yeah.
Whereas like when they really do like you want to keep them happy. Like like there's a different kind of pressure where you're like, oh, you're like,
yeah,
you're like, oh, I want you to stay this happy. In fact, I want you to get happier as the set continues. But if they already are like really disinterested, it's like a bad date. Like if you are like one drink into like a bad date and you're like, holy crap, like I am going to block this person like on every platform. You like now as like an adult, I would be like, who cares? Like I'm ordering lasagna. But I'm like, back in the day, I was like, how do I dismount? Like how do I do I like go to the bathroom, never come back? Do I pretend that I got a call? Like what do I do?
Yeah.
But you don't really care about a bomb. You care less than I do.
I feel like I bomb when I'm really tired, and it was one of those like up at 6 with the kids all day. So I felt I didn't have it going in.
Right.
And then because it wasn't straight silence. It was
ha ha ha.
It was, or even like a big laugh and then no momentum. So then,
if you got even a single big laugh, I don't categorize that as a bomb.
But you didn't like crack them open.
So that's not a bomb. Mike, do you think that's a bomb?
No, it's not. A bomb is a bomb.
A bomb is a bomb.
You know if you bomb. If you're questioning it, it wasn't a bomb.
I agree.
I closed with a...
If you got a laugh, it's not a bomb. It's just by definition.
And then I could have a terrible set.
Right.
It's a bad set.
But that's not
and
a
you
bomb.
could be like not good at comedy.
Yeah. Well, also, you know what I have this feeling, and Mike, chime in here on this little section here, and then never again. But sometimes I'm up there, and even if I'm doing well, I go, why the fuck am I talking to these people? You know what I mean? I go, what is the point of any of this? I really do that. I go, I've been talking for a long time.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
I've noticed this, and I do think this is like pretty serious depression, but I feel that way about everything in my life.
In real life.
I feel like sometimes I'm like, even if I'm like I'm trying a new recipe.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, what am I doing this for? The world is on fire.
Yeah.
No, it does not matter. I could just eat Soylent Green and just like move on. Or like, you know, I don't know, like we have like snacks in our office and they were like spilling out all over the place. And like we did have mice. So I was like putting them away so that we don't get more mice. And I was like, this is so dumb. Like why? Like nothing matters. And this is
Well, I've come
grim.
back to sports and games being, in my early life, I was like, it's become too important in my life. What else is out there? And I searched the world. And I was like,
Lord.
then I came back and was like, wait, there is nothing. Basketball, poker,
That's it.
golf. Because I have the thought, when you get married, the hack thing is like one person the rest of your life. But it's not like the person that's going to get old. It's like Earth itself. I'm like, how many more times can I order salmon for Christ's sake? Do you know what I mean?
Also, when I feel this way, and then people are like, "Oh, are you watching like the World Cup or something?" I'm like, I'm not. Like, first of all, the only thing I even know about soccer is that Ricky Martin wrote that song, "The Cup of Life," about like that was like the theme song for like one of the years.
More than I know.
And then Shakira wrote one year too. So I do know that.
You know what scene really speaks to me and you about this is in Mad Men when the English dude doesn't want to go watch soccer because he doesn't like it and he doesn't care and he's telling his wife and she's like, oh, come on, it's our only connection to back home, blah, blah, blah. And then it cuts to him and he's yelling and drunk and drinking and it's like, that's the part I like about a lot of these social.
Well, when I was in my 20s, I like attempted to get into football because the part that appealed to me was like all day drinking on Sunday.
Yep.
And I don't like football and I still don't like it. And I'm like, I would sit there and just like, I wasn't getting like very, very drunk, but I was just like getting progressively drunk. And people were like fighting over tables and like, screaming if someone's like blocking the screen or whatever, and I'm like, that also ruined my good time because I was like, who cares? Like now I realize that like they were just drunker than I imagined, but I don't know. Like it's yesterday someone was like asking about the score of the soccer game and I was like, soccer?
Yeah. There's actually a type of person who in the summer goes, it's almost NFL. And I go, fall and winter are worse than spring and summer. You don't sit in summer and get excited for fall. That's insane.
Can I tell you my
Sun goes
least
down at like
my
4:30.
least favorite person? When you're sitting there in August and you're like having a nice like outside drink or whatever, and someone starts talking about football because like they're just like very into it.
Right.
And someone's like, "Oh yeah, like I'm going to the game like, whatever, September 4th." And they're like, "It's preseason though. It's only preseason." You're like, "Shut up." It's still football. Are you happy about talking about football? Because now we're talking about football.
Can I tell you the best football experience we ever had?
I don't care if it's preseason. I don't care if it's regular season.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's postseason. I'll say that.
The Super Bowl, I'll tell you what, I'd rather go just to like the Hilton Suites that I went to with a pool and basketball hoop than
Homewood
the Super Bowl.
Suites. Okay, you keep calling
Homewood
it different
Suites,
things.
sorry.
But it's just like a motel that had a basketball hoop, and you got
I was
so
blown
excited.
away. I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. And the guy goes, I could see it from the lobby. And I go, there's a basketball court here. And he goes, is there a like a hotel basketball? Like almost as a joke. And he goes, yeah, do you want to sign it out? And then he goes, if you don't bring it back, it's $150 fine.
Woo!
And I go, you guys don't know the cost of basketballs. And he goes, we were losing them, man. I go, all right.
Well, that's actually fair because a basketball does cost like $60.
It's more the chore of like
Buying a new basketball.
and then every guest going, do you have a basketball? And you go, no.
And
So
then
I get
every
it.
like 11-year-old's just going to take it.
Yeah, I didn't bring it back. I just punted it into the woods out of spite.
And every
afterwards.
like tired parent at Homewood Suites is like, is that our basketball? Put it in the car.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly,
you're
of
just
course.
like, obviously, like, there's something that parents do, not so much in the city, because I don't think like anyone in the city like cares about anything, but like in the burbs, you see this where like you're leaving a place where the kids are hanging out, and they're like, this is like such a mom and dad thing. It's not gender specific. They go, is that your shovel?
Yeah, yeah.
Are those your goggles? Is that your towel? And you're like, you are 40. If it's their towel, just pick it up. Why are you making the 4-year-old be like, it's mine? Like, it's so stupid. And like it's like a default. Like something like courses through your veins. You're like, are those your goggles? Like you have to say it.
But are you saying you say it because you want them to pick it up, or you're not
Yes.
sure whose it is?
No, because you want
them
your
to
kid to pick it up.
Yeah. Well,
And it's like, also, it doesn't matter if it's their goggles or not. You just want them to pick it up.
I mean, I've been on a very. Sometimes people actually are like, "How do you do it all, Noah?" You're a dad. You're
Who?
a businessman, podcaster, comedian, television star.
Do you think you do a lot?
Day job. Yeah, I do a lot.
Okay. Who do you think does more?
Are
Let's
you talking
ask
about,
the audience.
Are you talking about around the house or do?
Anything.
I do I'm like Diddy. Not that way.
Oh my
Not
God.
that way. Diddy,
Oh my God.
Diddy 6 years ago. I'm like
Yikes.
Diddy.
He was still a criminal 6 years ago.
Yeah, but I didn't know about it.
Everyone knew about it.
Who's
Where were
a mogul
you?
who's not a creep? I'm like Barbara Corcoran.
Corcoran? Jesus.
I'm like Barbara Corcoran. But
You're like Mark Cuban.
sometimes things fly out the side of my head, and the things that fly out of my brain are like, I've lost 2 wireless speakers this month, so I got to order another one. You know what I mean? I've become the leave stuff.
Oh, you know what I
places
found in my
guy,
mom's
which
house?
sucks.
If you want it.
Porn?
No, it's a Bud Light backpack that has a speaker.
Yep. Oh, why didn't you save it for Christmas? What?
You got it for Christmas, you dum-dum.
Oh, yes, I do want that. Why didn't you grab it immediately?
Because if I give it to you, you're just going to lose it,
I'll
and then
wear
I'm
it
going
to
to get
work.
annoyed.
I'll be like, who wants a beer?
Like, first of all, you go save it for Christmas. Literally, you got it for Christmas.
Well, why did I leave it there? That's insane.
Why do you leave anything anywhere?
Well, at Christmas,
You're the kid. Now you're going to be, I'm going to be like, is that your towel?
Christmas at your house, here's what always happens. Amazing presents, like an exorbitant amount of presents. And then we kind of like start cleaning up the stuff and we put it away. And then I completely forget that I ever got, I got hundreds of golf balls hidden in your mom's house.
No, you don't. You have like 12.
That's a lot. Hundreds of dollars worth.
Okay, well, you have 12. And I tried to give them to you last time we were there.
Yeah.
And then you like got mad that I was giving you your own stuff. And then we come on the pod and I go, do you want this backpack? And you're like, give it to me for Christmas. And I'm like, so I've already held on to it for
but
6 months.
You've unlocked a life hack here.
Just save
Give
it.
me a present for Christmas. I open it. I'm delighted. Wrap it back up and give it to me next year. No problem.
Well, I will tell you, last year, I thought, like, my mom got so much stuff for Henry, and he wasn't even 3 yet. And I'm
Yeah.
like, he really doesn't even understand the concept of, like, presents. And so when I was cleaning out my closet last time I was there, I was like, oh, there's like a fully, I know what it is. It's a vacuum cleaner. It's like fully wrapped for Henry. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I was going to give it to him for his birthday, but he still like didn't really care. And now I'm like, I might as well just save it for the fall when it's like raining. And I'm like, you want a distraction? Like, I'm like, there's no reason, like, as adults, we like want to give kids either like new stuff or like surprises or whatever. And there are some kids who like that like activates a part of their brain and they get really pumped. But I'm like, there's a lot of kids who like truly don't know the difference. I mean, like 3 and under.
Yeah.
But I'm like, so then what's the point? You got them like, you got them 2 things or 15 things, they don't care.
Yeah, he actually, it's a great quality of his that he doesn't really even get. I'm like, open it up. And he's like, what? And I'm like, start with them. But
now
it's
he's a little
nice-
bit better. But I'm
Yeah.
saying, I think before you turn 3, it's really hard to be like, oh, like this is a present. It's a very like abstract concept. Like I gave you something and it's yours now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But I'm like,
I don't seem to get it either. Apparently I have a
no, because
Bud Light backpack with a speaker in it.
Yeah.
That's a prize.
and we also have like a money counting jar. Which I
Money
actually think that
counting
Henry will
jar.
get a kick out of because he likes counting.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things. It's like, I don't know if it's a toy or not.
Yeah. I don't get it either. What is it? Piggy bank?
No, it's a money counting jar.
Okay.
Like I said earlier. Anyway, I took the bus yesterday, as you know, is my want.
It's actually the best part of doing this pod.
Is learning
riding-
about me.
No. Nobody wants to know that. It's riding the bus with you, the cool bus.
Well,
And you go,
I'll tell you something. If you live in New York, don't sleep on the bus, okay? It's,
like literally don't sleep on the bus. You'll get molested.
no, you
But
can sleep on the
also,
bus.
It's
like
incredible.
It's
is
like
nice.
a mobile. It's like a mobile assisted living home. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, you get on. It's going so slowly.
Yeah.
Then every once in a while, like I did have a driver the other day coming back from Whole Foods, who just was like on one. Like at one point, there was like someone blocking her, so she reversed the bus. Have you ever been on a city bus that reversed?
Nope, and I have
Never.
not. Yeah.
I was like, okay, bucket item like checked off.
Yeah.
She was hitting the gas. She was going around construction vehicles. Like, she did not give a single F. And then at one point, because it was supposed to be like open streets, she was like, oh, we're turning. The absolute meltdown that everyone experienced on the bus of like, what are we going to do? Even though she was just going like 50 yards out of her way.
Right.
Like, it was incredible. But anyway, so yesterday I was waiting for the bus for like much longer than usual. Like usually I hop on like the morning bus. It's like coming every 3 or 4 minutes and it's packed. I mean, like subway level packed, which another thing about the bus is like, it's usually not crowded. Like you can just like get a seat and like chill. You have Wi-Fi because you're above ground. You can like get off the bus like much faster. So like if for some reason you like don't feel good or like you change your mind about like pursuing a career, you can just get off the bus.
Yeah, just
like
not
it's
doing
no problem.
today.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was very, very crowded. We're all trying to squeeze on because it's like a morning bus. So everyone's trying to get to work and everyone is disabled, obviously, because it's a bus. And so I, de facto, I turn into like a camp counselor. I become bus captain.
Yeah,
I'm literally
you do.
like, I had a whole tray of croissants. I hand them to this man in a wheelchair. I go, hold this for me.
Also, weird choice for the bus ride in the morning. You got your tray
But
of
I had to get these croissants out of the house.
Yeah, because otherwise we're eating them.
Exactly. Even I didn't have a croissant yesterday, and I was like, just even the smell of the croissant, I was like, I have to get this out of my face.
You're a bus vigilante too, is what I would call it.
Okay, I prefer bus captain.
Okay, bus
but
captain.
Whatever.
Yep.
I'm literally, because now people are stuck in the middle of the bus, but they need to get off.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to exit through the back, right? That's easier. But these people have like canes and walkers and wheelchairs, so they can't. So now I'm like, literally, I'm like, give me a vest. I work here now. I'm getting people.
You start kicking them over.
I'm getting
Out of the
children
way.
like over the rafters, like to get like off, like to like meet their parent, like on the runway. I'm like, then I'm also like holding the doors for people because some people can walk on their own, but they like need an extra second. And obviously our bus driver is like sort of losing it because he's had a tough morning. Like anytime the bus is that packed, his day has not been good. So then I'm also making friends with like this dad and his young child. And then this other dad sort of like tries to like get into our friendship, but I'm like, no. Like I'm working, like I'm busy. And then like one little kid in the back keeps dinging the stop request, and you can only request it once, whatever.
Right.
But then there's like no one at the stop, and then no one's getting off. So then the bus driver's like, obviously we're like running behind. So like if you could not do that, if you don't have to get off.
Right.
So then I'm like passing that message backwards because they're also all hearing impaired, so they can't understand what he's saying over the loudspeaker. And then my favorite part was like at one point we stopped, so a couple people get off, but like we're really like it's sardines.
Yeah.
And this one woman gets on who's like our age, and he's like, you can't get on the bus. You can't get on the bus. And she's like, I have to get on the bus. And he's like, you can't. And I go, I'll find a space for you. So then I like Tetris people out of the way. Then I realized there's a young girl.
Well, people do that before you get into the girl story. There'll be 600 people by the doors, and then there's nobody in the middle part.
This was packed in the middle part too.
Okay.
Like the announcement was going off, like move away from the doors, and we like couldn't. It was like actually kind of a safety concern, and that's why the guy told her she couldn't get on the bus. But I figured out I got her in a spot.
Right.
So then there's this young girl, high school. I mean, sophomore in high school. Like you're talking what, 15? She is looking at her phone. She's like wearing her little like very normal outfit. I don't know if she's like. She's obviously not in school, but she would be kind of a funny age of like, maybe she would have a summer job, but like maybe not quite old enough to have a summer job.
Right.
So like I know some camps like hire like, counselor in training or whatever, but like I was trying to remember like what I did at that age. I guess I was working at a camp maybe, but I'm like, it's like an awkward age.
You were a lifeguard. Okay, so what happened with the girl though?
I was a lifeguard when I was a little older than that.
Okay.
Is my point. And my point is there's a certain type of high school who is like too young to like have a job, but like too old to like go to sleepaway camp. Okay. So there's this old guy next to her in his like 70s with like cross eyes who's like talking to her. And I'm like, this is disgusting. I'm like, he is a freaking pedophile and like, I got to get her out of this. Right. So I'm like, okay, all the rest of my constituents are taken care of. So she's next.
Did they elect you in a free and fair election?
No, I'm like a dictator. I'm like, I'm in charge now.
Yeah, they're like,
you
who's
sit
that
here.
lady?
No one elected me. It's
Yeah.
like self-election, right?
Yeah.
But when you have such a small sovereign state, you can elect yourself.
Nobody challenged you.
It's like Rhode Island. Okay, so I make eye contact with her, and now I'm very aware of the fact that I am also much older than this girl. So I make eye contact with her, and I like literally, I'm like, and she's like looking around like whatever, and I'm like, no. So she gets up and she looks like she thinks she's in trouble, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm the principal and now you're in trouble because you're sitting when there's like a lot of people who are like very frail who need to sit close to death. And she comes over to me and I just whisper in her ear, like not trying to freak her out, but I'm like, that guy's a creep. I go, you don't have to talk to him. I go, stop talking to him and get off the bus. And she's like, oh, like, and she's kind of like dizzy, like, you know, like she was just like, oh, like, you're just like asking me questions about like what. I'm like, no. So then this other woman who's my age was like, yeah, seriously, get off the bus. Like, you gotta. I go, wait for the next bus.
Yeah.
So then she was like, okay, and I go, you don't have to talk to every man who talks to you. I go, I understand you're being polite and he's old, so you think you're being nice. I go, but he is not nice and you need to get off this bus. And so then she got off the bus and she was like, bye.
To the man?
Yes. And I was like, no.
God.
I'm like, you didn't understand my lesson.
Like, call me.
She was like,
you have
okay,
my
bye.
number, Richard. Well, me and you share this in common that like sometimes we look around and we're like, is anybody going to do anything about this? And then we hop in and it's a good quality because there's a psychological phenomenon. Obviously, like someone else will get in there and do it.
Diffusion of responsibility.
Right. So this is somewhat related. I kicked a guy off a bench press yesterday. So, but it's like,
so related.
and then I'll get to the creep at the gym too. But guy's doing the thing where he lifts weights, like he like curls, and then he just puts them on the bench. So he's actually not using the bench to work out. He's using the bench to rest the weights.
As like some sort of accessory table. He's using it as a coffee table.
Yeah, but there's a rack to put those on.
Right.
And I need that bench because it's near the very heavy weights. And there's a bench over there if he wants to do his stupid misuse of benching. And this guy this guy is skinny, 180 pounds soaking wet. He's wearing a hat in the gym.
But okay, go ahead.
He's a Storm the Capitol nominee. Like, he definitely looks very like, hey, y'all, I'm going to get big now and lift weights. So I go to him and I just go, are you using that bench or are you
resting your weights there?
Resting your weights there. And he goes, what? And I go, because I need to use that so I can get
Is he also Southern or you're just...
He is Southern. And I go... I did say this out loud. You'll hate this.
Oh no!
But I go, because I got to get these big boys. I point to the big weights, and then he goes, "Oh yeah, sorry man." He moves like he basically leaves the gym. He's so mortified. I point to the other bench, and I go down there, and I know everybody in this row of meatheads and meat women were like.
Women can be meatheads too. You don't. This is not like a comedian thing.
Oh, it's not?
No.
All right, so
meathead is gender neutral.
What's the word for a woman who's like really focused on working like a glute, so she can have a big butt and she wears a tan bodysuit and
OnlyFans star.
Yeah. So there's like some OnlyFans stars and there's some men, some real men, real American men. And anyway, I just kick him off and I just think like he was so stunned that somebody would say that, but I'm like, use your head. You're like you're monopolizing this bench for nothing. So then different gym trip, there's a guy who works out there who's looking like a Tom Petty on steroids. Okay, so he's old.
It's disgusting.
But he's got a bunch of veiny arms. He works out a lot. He looks good.
Long hair like that?
Yeah. Oh. Long, white, blonde hair.
Tom Petty did not have white blonde hair.
He had blonde hair for sure.
No.
I'll bet $1 million Tom Petty was blonde.
It's like a light brown.
This is the problem with women. Tom Petty was 1,000,000% blonde. It has nothing to do with the story, and yet you got to go, he wasn't blonde.
Well, one, he wasn't, and two, this is what's wrong with men, is that they can't see or pay attention to anything.
Guys,
you compared yourself to P. Diddy earlier on the pod.
Like this podcast, subscribe, and then comment whether or not Tom Petty was blonde, which he was.
Quick poll, was Tom Petty blonde? Second poll, is Tom Petty...
We have a producer. Mike?
Do you want to know?
Yeah.
Tom Petty is aggressively blonde.
Thank you. It's one of his defining characteristics.
He's like bleach blonde almost.
Thank you.
I wouldn't say so, but go ahead.
Are you blonde?
No.
Yes, you are. Look at your head. So there's this woman doing lat pull down.
Okay.
Not in skimpy garb, like kind of wearing what you're wearing, but just like no shirt with like a sports bra.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm wearing.
You're wearing yoga pants or whatever, stretch
How
pants.
dare you?
So
how dare you tell the pod listeners what's on the bottom half of me?
you look cute and you look good today.
Just imagine that these are jeans. Imagine I fit into jeans.
Nobody wants you in jeans. We want you in dresses. We want you very feminine. The way you know, I like that dress you wore the other day. Very very like Mad Men.
Oh, I returned it.
Thank you.
Because it was like.
Wait, I'm telling a story. This woman's doing lat pull down, and all of a sudden she yells across the gym and goes, "You got a problem?" to Tom Petty. And he's like, "What?" She's like, "You're staring at me." And he's like, and I was watching the whole interaction because I was walking backwards on a treadmill for my knees. So I had a total view of the whole thing. And I got to say, of all the creeps in the gym and all the like outrageous, like
he wasn't being
up in the air, like her body was covered by the machine. And I was like, this is bizarre. But I think that there's a creep etiquette. Okay.
I think that
you take a peek, go back.
First of all, can I show you what you look like when you subtly take a peek at someone?
Yep.
It's like full slack-jawed, like Peter Griffin, like well, you literally morph into a cartoon version of yourself, and you think you're being so subtle, and it's literally awful.
No, I look back, one more time, and back.
Even doing that, it was so obvious.
Yeah, but you're in the gym.
But people don't realize that
there's mirrors everywhere. And also, I'm looking at dudes. I always point that out.
But like, remember when like Curves, like the women only gym started up?
That's why.
But like a lot of even these workout classes I do, or like I pretend that I do, like are primarily women, and they won't exclude a man.
Yeah.
They won't. But like, if you are coming in to be a creep, like at my, they're opening a new 305 studio, which I am excited about. Mm-hmm. But I used to go to the one on 8th Street, and there was one guy who was like a little bit older.
Arrest him.
Well, like I think at first the women who ran the place were like, oh, he is like this middle-aged gay guy and he wants to like jump around and do hip hop stuff, right?
Yeah.
Fine. For like a class and a half. And then it was very clear that like he was there on like a creep assignment, and it was like,
wait, not gay?
I don't know if he was gay or not.
You made me do one of these classes and it was horrible.
But he was making everyone uncomfortable, because if you were just going to work out and do your thing and follow along with the dance class, that's actually fine. They would not have flagged you. Mm-hmm. But you're engaging with people. I mean, even at that class, like there's kind of like a workout class etiquette. Like you're not really talking to people. Like you're there to work out.
So during all the dance moves, he's like, "What's up? You live in Chelsea?"
He's not saying what's up. He's just trying to engage with you. And you're like, I don't want to. This is not a talking thing.
Right.
You're making me uncomfortable. Like, why are you even talking to me like, even if this was like Orange Theory or whatever, like, I'm like, this is not a talking experience.
Yeah.
So like, then everyone got weirded out by him. Although personally, I was already weirded out by him, because you're like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Like, this is like in my other bar class, I'm like, it's very rare that a man is there. And if they are,
they shouldn't be.
You follow the rules of the class, which is like not engaging. Like the only time I engage with someone in a bar class is if like their water bottle falls over and I go, oh, this rolled over to me.
Yeah. There should be a cop by the door, and if a man shows up who isn't gay, he should be arrested.
But here's the problem.
Wait, but I do want to. We're running low. We got to talk about the bear. So.
Good, I got to go. But what I was gonna say is that when you go to like a regular gym, like your gym, that's just like a general gym. Is my point.
It's for hot people mainly.
No, it's for poor people, and
I'd say 80% hot and 20% gay.
Your gym?
Yeah, peak hours, a lot of gay dudes. That's how I know I'm going to the right place.
Yeah, but I would say you're missing about 15 to 20% of like straight local creep.
There's some, first
Not
of all,
some, a lot.
There's about 15 personal trainers there at any given time, and I'm like, who's working with these people?
That gym, even compared to New York Sports Club that I used to go to on the other corner, like Crunch made me feel so like every single guy, like it was, I couldn't even, I was like 8 months pregnant. I was like, I can't be here.
Because everybody's a creep? Creeping on you? Yeah.
Creep.
Fit right in. I love that gym.
I was like, it's dirty and creepy, which is not a good combination for me.
I love it. Let's talk about the bear before we run out of time.
Okay, spoiler alerts if you have not watched.
Spoiler alert. Thank you to Jackie. Shout out to Jackie. Who said we should do spoiler alerts.
Who keeps Noah in line.
She's the only one on the planet.
Yeah, true.
So
And she's better at basketball than you and taller than you.
God, you're making me be the guy who said, no, she's not.
Okay, I know. That's
She's
the
better
point.
than me in every way.
She's the
So
greatest.
the Bear effing sucked this season. That's how I'm going to start.
I disagree, but go ahead.
It didn't suck. There were probably 4 good episodes, and my main problem
Say it right.
with it,
Applesodes. Henry calls them applesodes, and so now we're calling them applesodes.
Applesode? Another
He was
episode?
like, "Can I have another applesode?"
So the Bear season 1 was all about stress. It was all about how much can you care about this specific thing of working in a restaurant. Do you give a shit? Who are you? There was a little bit of white knighting, like let me be the white guy who show these people of color the way.
Right.
Oh, if you just gave a shit about your job, you could do something great. Oh, please teach me, white man. Like, I
You think that
love
was season 1
There was a little bit of that, but season 3, it was a shitload of that.
of white savior stuff?
Yeah. And it was white savior stuff, and it was really long, almost one scene episodes with extreme close-ups of the face. This is how they shot it, okay? you do it on your face. Ready? Do it on your face. Yep. All right, ready? I mean, Mom, you were just never there for me.
And then she's just like looking through the keyhole.
It's like this side on her eye. And it's like, but Mom, you were really a bad mom. And then she goes, I mean, I know Jamie Lee Curtis's face like the back of my hand now because of that episode.
So my challenge with the Bear this season was that, so now we know the characters, right? We know a little bit of their backstory, whatever. Except for Tina, who we got like a little bit more of her backstory this time, right?
A full episode. We got a lot more.
But I'm saying, like, we didn't know her
Yeah.
deal before. Fine. You didn't need to do a ton of character development for this season because we already are going into it knowing. My challenge was that I thought there were certain parts of the plot that, like, because, like, I like some of the, like the director tries to do something like the mental anguish, and because his brother killed himself, like, I think they try to get into like the mental health side of it and like the blurry line between like what's a stressful job or like an extreme passion or like an obsession versus like what is like you're drifting into the darkness. Like, I think they did a good job of like depicting that, like how like quote unquote crazy do you have to be to like commit yourself to something like this. And like, you know, they get into it a little bit at the end where I thought the whole scene with Joel McHale was like, so this man basically abused him at work, and Joel McHale was like, yeah, but then you got better.
Yep.
And
It's a big trope in our lives and also in the coaching world in general.
Right. And Carmi was upset on top of how he was already like traumatized because he realized he was right. Like, this guy pushed him to his limit, and then he did get better.
Yeah.
Versus like where I would put myself in situations where I had like bad bosses or whatever, where I'm like, I actually got worse. It actually like, it didn't like light a fire in me, or like it did in the moment, but then I like felt abused. So then I like was cowering all the time.
And the truest part of that scene for me was when you do confront this bully that you thought about for 10 years, they don't even remember who you are or give a shit, particularly about what you have to remind them of all, and then they go,
oh, see, I think I think that was bullshit. Like, I think that Joel McHale was bullshitting because he knows exactly who Carmi is, and he feels like he like made him, and now
right. But it's not a big thing he thinks about every day. And Carm, it's a huge part of his psychology.
Of course. But I think like he like when he sees like, oh, Carmen's opening a new restaurant in Chicago, he's like, I did that for him.
Yes.
Okay.
And one thing you pointed out, because I should have started the whole conversation with this, is that sometimes when you're married to a Harvard English major,
how dare
she
you?
Says something very smart, and you go,
sometimes?
Wow. We go, wow, it's more than just the body on this one. And she goes,
you are that creep at Crunch. You brought up
that creep at Crunch is maybe the title of this episode.
You brought up the creep quotient. That's what you did.
But you go, this is an opera. Because the episode 1 of this season was one big montage of chopping and this and that. And I was like, what the H is this? And you're like, oh, it's an opera. It's the overture. And I go, yeah. I've never been. And then you go, haven't you been to the opera? And I go,
can I tell you something?
Yeah, I went to the opera growing up.
Can I tell you something?
What?
Watching TV with you is so fun.
It is fun, actually. I'm taking that literally.
Okay. Well, I was just going to say that there were certain parts of the plot that just like kind of left me wanting more, and like because I thought it could be like a little bit more buttoned up, and then I'm like, you had certain distractions this season that I thought really took you out of it, aka John Cena
was the worst choice
I was like,
ever made. John Cena was the worst choice ever made in casting.
If I could get an agent half as good as John Cena's, he's retiring from wrestling now. I was like, he's still wrestling?
He's hosting Shark Week. He's got the best agent. He must have, I mean, does like The Rock, is The Rock involved at all? Because
he must be.
He gets every job. He was not funny at all. He thinks he's funny. He like wants to be funny. He thinks he's Terry Crews, but he's not.
But Terry Crews is funny.
What did I just say? He thinks he's Terry Crews, but he's not.
But I'm saying like
that's right. I'm agreeing with you.
But I'm like, if Terry Crews came into that scene, it still would have taken me out of it a little bit. But Terry Crews would have done a better job of being like.
It wouldn't have taken me out of it. Terry Crews isn't as famous.
Well, I guess because he was just top of mind because I just watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But I'm like, I think the point was like, oh, they have this like meathead other like dude from the neighborhood, whatever, who's like haunting them. And I'm like, the haunting thing like could have been funny. But I'm like, but then you had John Cena be the one to introduce it, and it wasn't funny.
The facts would have been fans of John Cena. So it's distracting to be like,
of course,
these dudes who like John Cena are like, oh, that's our friend Fred.
I'm like, you had to get someone who, first of all, had like more comedic timing, but second of all, had to be like way less recognizable and also like way less attractive. Like John Cena has that like big square head, and I don't personally find him that cute, but I'm like, it doesn't make any it doesn't make any sense. It's like, or even make him look more like
a normal human and not a actual pro wrestler. Who's cousin?
Good.
Whose cousin that we love?
Iban, that guy.
What's the character's name?
Richie.
So Richie, my problem with Richie is, and I know I have no problems with Richie.
He's amazing.
He's electric. He was fantastic in Girls, but my problem with the Bear in a Hole, and it's personified by Richie, is that in the Bear, you're an asshole. You're a flawed character, and then someone goes, "You're being an asshole," and then you turn it off and you become a better dude. And my problem is, I want that guy to be falling back into doing drugs, disappoint his daughter at the playground, take one step forward, take 3 steps back. It's like Richie just went from a-hole, flawed a-hole, to great guy.
But this is my point, right?
Yeah.
Because they have that whole conversation with his ex-wife who wants him to come to the wedding, right? And you can understand why Richie wouldn't want to go to the wedding. And you can understand why he's feeling inferior because the new husband has like the big house and, successful, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's basically like that scene, it was a perfect example of like why I didn't think they did as good of a job with like plot stuff, because I'm like, her just being like, are you going to come to the wedding or not? And having like the conflict end there is a problem. And then the other issue that with that scene, which you and I called out at the time we watch it, is like their kid is like 8 or 9 and she's like trying to eat something like hair off the ground.
They're talking to her like she's a dog. They're like, no, not in your mouth. No, sit.
But you do that with a 2-year-old,
yes.
not an 8-year-old.
Yep.
I mean, there's absolutely no 8-year-old on the planet where they're going to eat hair off the ground of a playground. I mean,
my least favorite character in the whole season, which is again just like a miss, is pastry chef man.
Oh, Marcus.
Because Marcus became so one note. He became so somber. His mom died. And then I love desserts. It's like there was no depth to him at all in terms of like, is he ever goofy around the kitchen? Does he have some sort of weird quirk we don't know about? Like, I really didn't get the point of him other than to be like, let's watch this guy be sad on a stoop. It was so boring. And season 1, I kind of liked that he was just some jabroni who's like, oh, I like desserts.
I think that that's what they're trying to show, is that he's like actually developed. He's like actually put in the time to like become this like pastry chef when like he really started out in a place where he like wasn't doing that. Like he was just like a fan of making desserts.
We got that by season 1. We got it.
I think that this season they were like trying to move away from his side character a little bit, and
they had a whole episode about him though.
Not really.
The sitting on the stoop with Io, and then what do you think of Io?
I think that she's good because she's complex, but I think like again, like, I just think that there are certain, like, plot holes. So, like, we had one scene where she and her dad, like, both needed to go to the bathroom, and then she was like, I signed a new lease. And you're like, well, okay, like, you are an adult, so that's fine. But it didn't really make a lot of sense, because the whole point of the show, like, the bear stress of the restaurant was like, we don't have any money. And then I'm like, and then she does a whole thing about how her dad is like her only person. And then the abruptness of just like, I'm moving out. And then she's like miserable and lonely there. It's too far from the restaurant. I was like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I think maybe the dad should have moved out and been like, you're okay now. You're. And also, I needed the whole thing about why she wouldn't sign the contract, because I'm a dumb ass. Explained. I was like, because I saw being a partner in a restaurant as only upside. So yes, sign it, get your stuff in there. She should have had some non-restaurant friend be like, I don't get it. Why? This is your dream. Da da da. And she should have been like, but if I sign that, I have to stay for 5 years. There just needed to be a beat to explain that.
I think it was
that was one of the main conflicts of the show.
But I think it was more emotional than that. I think she was like, first of all, Carmy didn't realize that he had morphed into Joel McHale, that he was like being a nightmare at work.
They explained that well, though.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but she was sitting there going, you've become the abusive person that you didn't even like in the first place. Then she's like, this is Carmen's thing. It's not my thing.
Yeah.
But he had pitched it to her as, we are co-collaborators, like whatever. And so then you had those scenes where she was like, oh, I think we should do blah, 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 hamachi. And he's like, no. And he's like, no, 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 no to her. And then he takes something that she made and he changes it without even asking her. And so she's like, wait, so if I sign this agreement and I'm partner, I'm going to have to keep putting up with this, and I don't want to. Right. So then the other guy comes in and further complicates her challenge here, which is like, you could just start your own thing and I want you to be the star. And she's obviously nervous about going out on her own, but if she stays where she is, she's like, I have to. It's like I think of like some of these folks who, like, you know, their whole point is like to be second fiddle, and it's like, that's fine and that's a role. But like, Carmy was pitching it to her like, you are going to be co-star, but she's not going to be co-star. She's going to be supporting actor. So
yeah, and I think I just wanted that explained a little earlier, but maybe that was the point, to let it.
I think they had to let it come out. Like,
but her as an actor, she as an actor. Which one is it? She as an actor.
It wouldn't be her as an actor.
She has grown as an actress or actor. Season 1, I literally was like, this is a comedian who hasn't acted yet.
No, she's gotten a lot better, I think.
Season 3, I was like, she's really grown on me. And the scenes where she's supposed to be attractive, I'm like, she's so charming. She's attractive. The scenes where she's pissed, I believe it. I believe it's his character. I was actually stunned because season 1, she kind of annoyed me because I was like, she's not like on the level as, you know, Little Rodent Man, Carm.
Yeah.
But overall, it sucked. I'm just kidding. I thought it was like a very up and down season, and it was a trying to live up to the hype season versus season 1 is.
Well, they're already going to do a next season.
Yeah.
And I do think that this season was sort of in between. And then we have the additional conflict that will get resolved in the next season, which is 1, did he get a bad review? And then 2, his uncle or whatever that guy's deal is, like, lost all his money.
Yeah. All right, Carm. I got to store my golf clubs here.
Oliver Platt.
He's lovely. I enjoy everything he does.
He's so good. I think he's great.
Also, they should put more hot chicks in the show. All right. So you ready to wrap this up? Because you do have to go to work. Mike, you got any announcements?
I'm doing Mike's show on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if this will be out by then, but next episode we can talk about.
But it was a great show.
But it was a great show, and I killed.
And John and Peters.
Oh, yeah, and we're John and Peters, July 28th. All 3 of us will be there.
Woo!
Producer Mike and Alyssa are opening for me as my little minions.
Hey, good luck, bud.
Oh, yeah. They're going to bury my ass. They're going to bury me. That's July 28th.
You're going to feel buried when you're on that stage.
Asheville, September. Asheville, July 26th.
I have a show, I think, the 23rd, too. July 23rd.
And then I'm doing a co-headliner bid with JP McDade, September 14th, Fairfield Comedy Circle. And Alyssa Wolff, I don't know who this chick is. She's opening as well. So
I don't know if I can commit to that.
a lot of roadies, a lot of goodies.
A lot of
And
sodies.
everybody listening, instead of texting us, if you're our super fans, type those comments into the comments of YouTube, like our stuff, share our stuff. And in 6 episodes, we're going to monetize this bad boy. Let's go. All right. Bye.
Bye.